Shock move. Seahawks trading quarterback for a big star. See who they are. Seattle Seahawks news. Hold on, Seahawks Nation. Rumors are blowing up that Seattle is ready to pull off a blockbuster swap, sending their current quarterback in exchange for a huge star player that could change the whole franchise's direction. Fans on socials are going wild, speculating about who this mystery superstar could be. A game-changing receiver, a shutdown defender, or even a future Hall of Famer. Debates are everywhere. Reactions are intense. And every 12 is waiting to see if this bold move becomes reality. Stay hyped and tuned. What is going on, 12s? Today we have absolutely explosive Seattle Seahawks news. And if this move actually goes down, it could completely reshape the NFC and send shockwaves across the entire National Football League. We're talking about a potential quarterback trade, and not just any trade. We're talking about moving the most important position on the field in exchange for a certified superstar. Yes, you heard that right. The Seahawks could be trading their quarterback for a big-time star player, and the rumors are picking up serious momentum. Before we dive into the details, make sure you smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications, because if this deal breaks, you're going to want updates immediately. Alright, let's set the stage. The Seahawks have been in an interesting position over the last couple of seasons. After moving on from Russell Wilson a few years ago, many people expected a full rebuild. Instead, the team shocked everyone when Geno Smith stepped in and delivered one of the most surprising comeback seasons in recent memory. He earned respect across the league, proved he could lead an offense, and helped keep Seattle competitive in a tough NFC West. But here's the big question. Is competitive enough? The front office, led by John Schneider, has always been aggressive when the right opportunity presents itself. We've seen bold draft day trades. We've seen blockbuster deals. This organization does not sit back when there's a chance to level up. And now, reports are suggesting that Seattle has at least explored the possibility of flipping their current quarterback situation into a move for an elite, game-changing star. So who is this big star that could be involved? One of the names circulating in league circles is none other than Justin Jefferson from the Minnesota Vikings. Now imagine that for a second. Pairing one of the most dynamic receivers in football with Seattle's already dangerous offensive weapons. We're talking about lining him up alongside DK Metcalf. Defensive coordinators would lose sleep trying to figure out how to stop that combination. Now, let's be clear. Nothing is official. This is speculation based on league chatter, cap considerations, and the direction certain franchises may be heading. But the logic behind it? It's not crazy. Minnesota has been navigating its own quarterback uncertainty. If they're looking to reset financially or reshape their roster, acquiring a proven quarterback in a trade package could be attractive. Meanwhile, Seattle could decide that investing heavily in an elite receiver gives them more long-term offensive stability, especially if they believe they can draft or develop another signal caller. But that's not the only scenario being floated. Another name that insiders have whispered about is Justin Fields of the Chicago Bears in a multi-team deal scenario. Imagine this twist. Seattle trades its current quarterback assets and draft capital in a complex exchange that ultimately brings in a superstar defender or offensive weapon from a third team. Fields brings athletic upside. Seattle reshuffles contracts, and suddenly the roster looks younger, faster, and potentially more explosive. This wouldn't be the first time the Seahawks made a bold pivot. Remember when they traded Wilson at what many thought was the peak of his value? That move shocked the fan base, but also restock the roster with critical pieces. The organization has shown it's willing to endure short-term noise for long-term gain. And here's something else to consider. The NFC is wide open, but it's also loaded with elite quarterback talent. You've got Patrick Mahomes dominating the AFC year after year. And in the NFC, you're constantly dealing with rising stars and powerhouse rosters like the San Francisco 49ers. If Seattle truly wants to move from playoff contender to Super Bowl threat, standing pat might not be enough. Let's break down the financial angle. Quarterback contracts eat up a massive portion of the salary cap. If the Seahawks believe they can get similar production from a younger or cheaper option while adding an all-pro caliber star at another premium position, the math starts to make sense. Elite receivers, dominant edge rushers, and lockdown corners can completely transform a defense or elevate an offense overnight. Now imagine the headlines. Seahawks trade starting QB for all-pro superstar. The media frenzy would be insane. National analysts would debate whether Seattle just made a genius move or completely lost their minds. Fans would be split. Some would call it bold and visionary. Others would call it reckless. But that's what makes this franchise so fascinating. Seattle has never been afraid of reinvention. From the Legion of Boom era to the high-powered offensive years, this team evolves. Even when longtime head coach Pete Carroll was at the helm, the philosophy centered on competition and boldness. That mentality hasn't disappeared. Let's talk football strategy for a second. If the Seahawks were to acquire a player like Jefferson, the offensive scheme would instantly shift. You'd see more spread concepts, more aggressive downfield shots, and more defensive mismatches. Safeties would be forced to play deeper, opening up the run game. Linebackers would hesitate. The ripple effect would be massive. On the other hand, if the blockbuster involves a defensive superstar, say an elite pass rusher, the identity of the team could swing back toward dominance in the trenches. Pressure wins in January. Disrupting quarterbacks is still the fastest way to championship relevance. And here's the most shocking part. League executives reportedly believe Seattle has the assets to pull this off without completely mortgaging the future. They have draft capital flexibility. They have young talent. They have tradable contracts. Not every franchise can say that. Of course, there are risks. Trading your starting quarterback always comes with uncertainty, even if he isn't viewed as top 5 in the league. Stability at that position is rare. Chemistry matters. Leadership matters. The locker room dynamic matters. You don't just swap that out without consequences. But sometimes calculated risk is necessary. If the front office evaluates the roster and determines that the current ceiling is a wild card exit, they might decide now is the time to swing big. Windows in the NFL open and close fast. Injuries happen. Contracts expire. Opportunities vanish. Let's also consider the fan perspective. Seattle fans are passionate and knowledgeable. They understand roster construction. They've seen the highs of a Super Bowl run and the heartbreak of coming up inches short. If this trade signals an aggressive push toward true contention, many would embrace it, especially if the incoming star is a household name. Social media would explode. Jersey sales would skyrocket. Primetime games would follow. And don't underestimate the psychological impact on the rest of the league. When a franchise makes a daring move, it sends a message. We're not rebuilding. We're not waiting. We're coming. Now, until something becomes official, we have to treat this as developing news. Negotiations in the NFL are fluid. Talks can heat up and cool down within hours. A single draft pick can change everything. But the smoke around this situation is real enough that insiders are paying attention. So here's what you need to watch over the next few weeks. Contract restructures, surprise visits, cryptic social media posts from players, and comments from executives at press conferences. Those breadcrumbs often signal bigger moves brewing behind the scenes. If this blockbuster actually happens, it could define the next era of Seahawks football. Will they double down on offense and create one of the most feared passing attacks in the league? Will they pivot toward defensive dominance and terrorize quarterbacks all season long? Or will this all turn out to be high-level leverage in ongoing negotiations? One thing is certain. Seattle is not content with mediocrity. This front office knows the standard. The fan base knows the standard. The city expects boldness. And if trading their quarterback is what it takes to land a generational talent, don't be shocked if they pull the trigger. All right, 12s. I want to hear from you. Would you trade the current quarterback situation for a proven superstar? Or do you believe stability under center is too valuable to risk? Drop your thoughts in the comments because this debate is just getting started. Make sure you like the video, subscribe for daily Seahawks updates, and stay locked in. If this shocking move becomes reality, you'll hear it here first. Buckle up. Seattle. Something big might be coming.